everyone, it's Kris.
And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Review This.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
It stinks.
Alright, so today we're taking another step outside of horror and going into just pop culture in general. Maybe you've heard the third Spider-Man movie is out for the second time.
Yeah, right. That's true, because the last one didn't make a third movie. Poor Andrew Garfield.
I know, poor Andrew.
But yeah, so we just got out of the theater. We wanted to talk about it ASAP.
Instantly. And we're gonna... There's spoilers everywhere. There's no way to not do this spoiler-free at all.
Yeah,
so.
you should go watch the movie, then come watch this.
And it was a fun watch.
So much fun. It lives up to the hype, in my opinion.
It really does. It does the fan service in a cute way and all that.
In a smart way.
But I want to start with my problems with it, because that's always more fun.
Right, here we go.
Here we go. So, the whole premise of the movie is that everyone, because Peter wants to cast a spell so that everyone who knows he's Peter Parker will forget. However, in the middle of casting the spell, which Doctor Strange is like, quit interrupting me. Like, he keeps interrupting him. Like, oh, well, this person needs to know. Wait, this person needs to know. This person. And it all goes a mess. We all saw that in the trailer.
It must be really delicate work. You
right.
know? Like, I can imagine.
Well, they keep saying throughout the movie, the whole plot point is that people are coming to this dimension or this alternate reality from their alternate realities because they know who Peter Parker is.
Yeah, that's how the spell got mixed up, was instead of forgetting, it's everybody who remembers.
Is coming to now our universe. But in order for you to come here, you have to know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Okay? So let's get to the first end credit scene, because this really is, the more I think about it, pissing me off.
And I want to say first is that I was very disappointed in it until the end of the end credit scene.
Right.
But now that she's brought up this point, the whole thing
is a mess. And it's the reason that it's a mess is it's clearly them trying to shoehorn in Venom. It's got Sony written all over it, this thing that doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie. And what it is you see Tom Hardy, and he's sitting there, you hear Venom's voice, and he's talking to this bartender, and it becomes clear that the entire time that he's been zapped into our universe, he's just been getting drunk and learning about the Avengers.
Yeah. Which is funny. It's
a funny gag. That's not the problem.
No.
Here's my problem. Why is Venom in our universe? As far as we know in the first two Venom movies, he does not know A, Spider-Man to begin with, B, that Peter Parker would be Spider-Man. He has no idea. In fact, right before he gets disappeared back to his own Venom universe, he even stands up and says, we should go to New York and check out all these superheroes.
This Spider-Man. Let's go check out this Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's not like he knew Spider-Man.
No, he didn't even say Spider-Man. He said we should go to New York and check out all the heroes because he's not even mentioned Spider-Man in this end credit scene. Tom Hardy's there. They're talking about, they're like, so wait, you're telling me that there was a wizard, you're telling me that there was Iron Man, that there was all this other, but they never talk about Spider-Man. They talk about Thanos and all that stuff. Because he's even like, tell me about the alien who's into jewelry. Because let me tell you from experience, aliens are way more into eating your brain and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Why is Venom there? They made it very clear throughout the rest of the Marvel movie that the only people coming through are people who knew that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
Yep.
So why is Venom there? To shoehorn him in.
Yeah.
That's why he's there. Because the very end part of the end credit scene, which is the only cool part about the end credit scene, is right before he gets swooshed back to his universe, he leaves behind a little microscopic speck of Venom.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant, because now you can have Venom in the MCU without any of the Tom Hardy
bullshit.
I'm sorry, but bullshit.
Right.
Look, I've only seen the second Venom movie, and it didn't make me want to go back and watch the first one. But I know a lot about it. I know about my pop culture. I know what they said. Spider-Man's not addressed in it.
No.
I don't think there's any Easter eggs in it by Spider-Man. It's just... So, I don't know what's happening.
They're just throwing Spider-Man in that universe because with the Morbius, you even pointed out in the Morbius trailer, we see like graffiti of Spider-Man in the background.
Murderer in the background, and it's Tobey Maguire's suit. So
they got to be referencing Harry Osborn.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't understand.
It's a big, like,
what they're
Sony
doing.
coming into this, I understand they have to share, but Sony coming into this is really messing shit up.
And I bet you this was Feige's compromise.
Right.
Okay, leave a little Venom behind so we can do whatever we want with it, and you can do your Venom.
You can do your Venom and your whatever.
Yeah.
And they can introduce... I know they're going to put Tom Holland in the Sony Spider-Man Venom movies, too.
Yeah.
But I really wish they would just recast their own Spider-Man and have it be an alternate universe.
I would love it if they just used Andrew Garfield. I mean, I think Tobey Maguire would be
He's
cool,
movie.
too. But Andrew Garfield is owed a movie, and I think they've all gotten, hopefully, smarter by now that maybe they would do it right and have fun with it. It'd be cool. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be confused if there was 3 different Spider-Man franchises, you know? At some point, we're going to have Miles Morales, and I don't think they should do it after Tom Holland. It needs to be with him.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big problem I have, and it's got Sony's fingerprints all over it because Marvel doesn't... I mean, they make continuity mistakes, but that big... Where it's like, we've just set up the whole movie that the premise is they know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's why they're here.
Yep.
And then at the very end, we've got a character that has no idea about that is for some reason here. So explain it, Marvel and Sony. Explain why this character is here.
Yeah. So the challenge for the next Venom movie then is to explain this.
Yeah.
They need to not make this a plot hole anymore and fix this because right now it really is terrible and
glaring plot hole.
Glaring, wide open. And I feel like in the end of There Will Be Carnage? Is that what it's called? Venom, There Will Be Carnage.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
The movie sucks.
And then the Carnage movie, from what I understood, this was shot way last minute. Like, they brought him back to shoot this end credit scene. So somebody didn't talk to the people working on Spider-Man that shot these scenes. I was so disappointed when it was a Venom scene at the end. Yeah. Until the very, very, very end.
Until you left a little bit of Venom and they're like, okay, cool. However, it's stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. And now that she's pointed out, I can't unsee it.
Yep. He shouldn't be there. Like, he should not be in our universe.
And I've tried, guys. I can't come up with any explanation that makes sense.
Now, here's the other plot hole from the ending that I got. Now, in order to save everybody, our Peter Parker, Tom Holland, decides that he's going to go ahead and let Doctor Strange cast this spell that not only is going to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, if you knew Peter Parker at all, you weren't going to remember. So MJ, his best friend, Ned, Doctor Strange himself, the other Avengers, they're never going to remember Peter. Okay, cool. So then it all goes through. Sure enough, Zendaya, MJ and Ned don't recognize Peter when he comes in to see them at the coffee shop and all that. And spoiler alert, May dies in this movie.
Yeah.
So it ends with him going to visit May's grave, and Happy shows up. Now remember, Happy doesn't know Peter at all, and he comes up to the grave, and Happy asks Peter, well, how did you know May? And Peter goes, well, through Spider-Man. And Happy goes, me too. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I can understand, okay, they're going to forget that he's Peter Parker, and the Avengers are just going to remember maybe that Spider-Man fought with them, but they don't know who he is. I can get behind that. Okay, if you want to explain it that way, they're going to remember Spider-Man because he fought with them, but they're not going to remember that it's Peter. Okay, cool. However, Happy, way more invested in Peter's life than any of the other Avengers. He's the only reason he even knows Aunt May is because Tony took an interest in Peter. So why does Happy, like, I don't... it doesn't explain it well.
How would Happy even know Aunt May to date her? How would Happy even have met her? Any of this stuff. And this is another point that she came up with, and I think she's right. I can't explain it away.
Yeah, how does he remember Aunt May and that he had these feelings for her and everything when he doesn't remember Peter at all?
Yeah, and I think Happy's the only one that this is really a problem for because Tony's gone.
Yeah, so there's nothing there.
Captain America's gone.
Maybe if Pepper comes in because she would know Peter really well. But
Pepper would know. But let's just say she's off busy running the company and she doesn't know.
Well, yes, Stark Industries is busy right now.
And raising a child, so she doesn't know. She doesn't even think about Peter Parker. But it is a problem. And again, maybe they'll rectify it in the next one, or maybe it's just an oops. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just an oops because they wanted that moment of them both there at the grave mourning May, and I get that.
It is, yeah. And I think that like she said too, is like it's kind of a soft reboot. You know,
Yeah.
when the movie ends,
They gave themselves a soft reboot.
Yeah, he has no Stark tech anymore.
No,
he's making his own suit again, which looked pretty cool.
No Aunt May, no friends, no MJ.
Yep, he's in an apartment by himself, and you hear the landlord being like, "Rent's due on the 1st," you know. And,
which, according to comics, he's not very good at making that rent.
No, or in the first movie, first movie series. So yeah, like. I guess, you know, nitpicking in the movie's not perfect, but it was so fun. God, it was so much fun. I thought they handled Toby and Andrew perfectly. Like,
however, putting those three in one movie makes one thing glaringly obvious. Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. Oh, yeah. For sure.
I feel like...
and maybe the best actor.
Well, you mentioned that the acting wasn't good, but I think they acted the way they did in their first movies, but it feels like they are guests in somebody else's house. Yes. They know that they're not... Yeah, you know,
and they have funny lines and stuff, but it does feel a little forced, like their comedy banter between each other.
Some of it, but maybe because I'm a fan, I think the
problem is that the comedy banter... We're used to that in a Marvel movie. We get that. Tom Holland's been doing it the whole time. I think hearing it come out of Toby and Andrew's mouths, these Marvel MCU words, is what's not fitting. Because in their movies, their funny was more campy, cheesy funny.
It was, yeah.
Instead of witty wordplay funny.
I think also, now that I'm thinking about it, that... their jokes may have hit you wrong because it sounded like fans discussing the two movies and the two Spider-Mans. Right. Oh, you can do this? Oh, I can do this.
Which is hilarious conversation.
It was great. And that would probably really happen in real life.
I actually like that part. It's all the other parts. It's when they're interacting. It's the high five. It's the camaraderie. It's the all of that we come to expect in a Marvel movie. But when you watch the other Spider-Man movies, it's not. Those movies aren't as fun. No. Those movies don't have the world building that MCU worked on. They don't have the characterization down that MCU has. So I think, they felt so out of place in the MCU universe.
I feel like this one definitely felt the most Spider-Man out of all the MCU Spider-Man movies. Because there was less... I mean, Doctor Strange is in it, but he goes away for a while. And it's just... And I think now they've established him in the MCU. They realize it's time to go back to basics. Yep. And so the next trilogy is going to be what we all know. And it's
going to be just Spider-Man on his own. Because, like you said, there's no more Tony Stark. So there was no Tony to come running in and save him or give him new tech or whatever to help him. Right. There's, without Tony, there's no Pepper to baby him. Yeah. There's no, Happy's there, but him and May have broken up at the beginning of the movie. So Happy's not really there.
And now May's gone.
And now May's gone. And Happy, Happy doesn't know who he is. His friends don't know who he is. So yeah, Peter's very much. But what I mean is, the whole movie, all of the adults were kind of removed. So it was left up to the Peters, and MJ and Ned to figure it out.
And I guess I would say that if anything, the the two Peter Parkers that came in through the universe accepted it really quickly. Yeah. This was just, okay.
Well, their spider senses would have been tingling and shit. Because that's funny. What happens is how they get the Spider-Mans, because the Spider-Mans have been brought to this universe too, but they've just been wandering around and shit, because they don't know. There's no Avengers in their universe, because Peter mentions, I was part of the Avengers, and they're like, cool, what is that?
Is that a band?
Right, Andrew Garfield's like, were you in a band? It's funny. But so neither of them know what the fuck the Avengers are. They Ned and MJ are trying to find their Spider-Man, the only Spider-Man they know about at this point. And Ned has Doctor Strange's sling ring. Because it had gotten stolen when Tom Holland kind of just left him. So Ned in the beginning is like, you're a wizard, that's cool. Do you know if that gets transferred? Because my grandma always said that we had some magical powers, and Dr. Strange kind of shuts him down or whatever. But once he gets the sling ring, Ned is able to open a portal, because he's like, I wish we could find Peter, I wish we could find Peter.
And it started opening.
And so it opens, and it's Andrew Garfield that comes through. So he comes through, and they're all like, prove it. And then he's like, okay. And so he hangs from the ceiling, and MJ's like throwing rolls at him, and she's like, no, more, prove it more that you're Spider-Man.
Because she wants his spider tingle to work, so she's throwing
she's throwing bread at him, and she's like, I thought, doesn't that work? He's like, not against bread.
Like, bread's not a threat,
And then so Ned does it again, and that's when Tobey Maguire's Peter.
And Tobey shows up without his costume, and I whispered to her, I was like, they're saving that for the end, you know.
And he was wearing it under his clothes, because they don't have nanotech from Stark Industries.
I'm telling you, Tobey as older now as Spider-Man reminded me a lot of the older Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse movie.
God, I love
and
that movie.
I do too. And it makes like this is so good. And it makes me realize they could have made that live action. Tobey Maguire would have been perfect.
Easily, because the Doc Ock, the way they made Doc Ock's arms work would have worked, because they got Doc Ock in the multiverse movie too. Yeah. But she's a female.
It was
in that
Catherine
one.
Hahn.
Yeah, it was.
So
it was Agatha all along. Willem Dafoe did freaking amazing because he captured that I am a crazy murderer as well as that help me, I'm mentally ill scientist, you know?
I'll tell you what, both Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin felt like no time had passed at all. Like they were just picked it up right where they left off. Voices are back. Of course they de-aged them. I know that.
Alfred Molina, like the de-aging they used on him is amazing because he does now look a day older than we last saw him in the last Spider-Man movie.
It was as good as when they did it to Tony
Stark for Civil War.
Oh my! I haven't even been playing that game.
Which leaves another pothole that I brought up because they're gonna heal them. Okay, cool, and then send them back. But, like, for example, Harry Osborn, dead in his universe. So he's going to go back now cured and alive, and everyone's going to be like,
they're just going to be like, hey, remember me, guys?
Right. You remember that funeral? Remember how my son went nuts because I died? And, you know, like...
They're going to have to do Disney Plus series for all these characters
going back to the universes. They're going to have to go back into all these other Spider-Man movies and fix what they fixed here because you did the one rule against time travel is you change things.
But I agree with what you said, though. I did not expect that would be the entire plot. I knew that they were going to have to get rid of these villains and blah, blah, blah. And I saw in the trailer where they talk about that they die, and he is upset about that. But for him to actually... I think that says a difference in the generations, too. You know, in the old movies in the 2000s and everything, it was. You killed the bad guy. That's just what it was. Even though you watch him back and most of the villains kill themselves.
Right.
However, he's blamed for it and stuff, which is a
plot of this one is everyone's blaming his Mysterio's death on him, and we know what really happened.
Exactly. So I get that, but I like the way that this Peter Parker, he doesn't know these people. No. He knows they're bad guys. He knows they're evil, but he wants to.
It's Green Goblin that does it to him because, and another thing is he's got something that the other Spider-Mans didn't, which is a competent Aunt May. Now I love Sally Field, I do. However, the Aunt May here is not only is she known as being compassionate, as someone who constantly is helping other people, trying to see the good in everybody. And that's what she does is Green Goblin, basically, after he destroys his I hated that mask. I'm so glad they destroyed that mask.
I hated it. He looked like a Power Ranger.
Right.
No offense to Power Rangers, but...
Some offense to Power Rangers. Everything after the first series can just go straight to hell.
That's all I count when I talk about it.
Any Power Ranger that came in after Tommy can just die.
Go straight to hell.
Go straight to hell. So...
Burn.
I forgot where I was now.
Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, so Green Goblin comes in and he basically finds Aunt May's charity place because he sees the Spider-Man and he's like, okay, well they work together, so I'm gonna go find Spider-Man, thinking it's Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. And so when he walks in, he's like, you're not Spider-Man.
Right.
But Willem Dafoe does so great because now he's being Osborn again, and you pity him.
Yeah.
You really do pity him. And May makes a point where it's like, help them. Don't just send them back. Don't help. We can help them. And that's where our Peter is like, okay, well, that's what we've got to do.
I think that's exactly. I think because in the first Sam Raimi trilogy, the first two movies, which are the best, Spider-Man villains were more sympathetic villains. They were doing it against their own will. One had a split personality. The other one, the machine was talking, making him do things, which they
cured, and Doc Ock almost became like a superhero in this one.
I loved Doc Ock in the second movie. He was a great character, and you did feel bad for him when he ended up dying in the end. Also, not Peter's fault.
Right.
But and so it was nice to see him back the way he was. And Norman Osborn was Peter's friend too in the original. So I like they redeemed these characters, and even Jamie Foxx they kind of redeemed a little bit.
And you feel for them too, because when they're all in the wizard dungeon, as MJ calls it, they all get captured and locked up before Peter kind of betrays Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange wants to just send him back and end this madness. But Peter's like, no, we gotta save him first, and then we can send him back.
And which makes sense, because Doctor Strange is not thinking about the individual people. He's thinking about the multiverse, and he's like, dude, there's multiverses where Spider-Man probably died 6 times. You know, like you have. So to him, it's like it's no big deal.
Right.
You know?
It's just another. Yeah.
It's science,
I don't care about those guys. Like, yeah. So, but you feel for them because you see the realization, because it seems like they all got zapped to our universe right as they were about to die.
Yeah.
So they're reliving what they just last remembered, and they all stop as they realize, oh shit, I was about to die, before I got swooped here.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes with Sandman, but they either weren't able to get him physically back for most of it, Thomas Hayden Church, or they were
at the very end.
He was at the very end, and it was just as when in the actual Spider-Man 3, he very rarely was the full sand thing.
Right.
And the fact that they made him that way constantly, except for the very end, made me feel like there was some complication there. They couldn't get him.
Or maybe that's the way Marvel saw it, was...
Could be.
You know, it's a different interpretation of the character.
And the very last shot of him through the window looked like it was pulled from Spider-Man 3. I can't say it for sure, but it looked like it was pulled and put in there.
Maybe.
So I'm not sure. We'll have to look up what the story is there, but it was his voice and it was his image.
Him. Yeah, he was there at the end.
And the same thing with Lizard. He was Lizard the whole time. But, you know.
Which I think goes to the point of they wanted to cure them.
Yeah.
Because that's how you know that it's Thomas, whatever, at the end.
Thomas Hayden Church. Yeah.
I know. I wanted to say Hayden Christensen, and I knew it was wrong. So
there's way too many Toms too.
So I just stopped. But you don't see that it is really him until the end when they solve his sand issue. And same with the crocodile guy. You don't know that it's that guy until
the very end.
Yeah,
so I guess that's a good point. It may be plot. It may be plot related. They just didn't need to spend the money on them too. You know.
Right. But my point is with Doc Ock, because they actually heal him first.
Yeah.
They come up with when Harry Osborn is still being Harry Osborn. He and Peter work together and create a new chip because they figure out that the problem with it is that his chip was fried, and so that made the arms in charge instead of him. So they reverse it, and he's a good guy from then on because Jamie Foxx's Shocker guy, Electro, not Shocker, but
Shocker was a different character.
He tried to electrocute him and fry the chip again because he even says, I liked you better the other way, you know, when you were a villain. So he tries to fry the chip again, but Doc Ock comes back in and saves the day, and so once they fix that chip, it proves that he was never meant to be a bad guy in the first place, I think.
Exactly. I think that's exactly right. And I think it also proves that, 20 years has passed, technology has grown, but this universe has Stark. Their universe didn't have Stark technology, so Stark can do anything.
Apparently.
Or Pym, apparently, yeah. So they can do anything. With them, it was Osborn, I guess, and Osborn's Oscorp, and
because that's another reason you feel so bad for him. Because Harry Osborn's like, I came here and there's someone else living in my house, and there's no Oscorp, and I didn't know where to go. And
he's like homeless basically. He's got nothing. Yeah, but Wonderful's so good. You do feel bad for him. You know who he is. You know he's gonna turn again.
Yeah.
But again, it's that multiple personality thing, you know. There's the evil side and there's the regular. But
in the end, you know, because he winds up being the big bad.
He does.
So they wind up curing everybody else, and then they have to cure him, and he's the one that kills Aunt May. So Peter wants to kill Green Goblin, and which is hard because you saw him kind of build that same relationship that the other Peter had with Harry.
Yep.
Where it's like mentor and
exactly,
you know.
Exactly.
So for him for Green Goblin to take back over, and then that's what happens, and that's how Aunt May gets killed.
Yep, and you get to see Spider-Man kind of almost take that dark turn that Batman goes on, you know, where he's going to murder him. He's like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to kill him.
And the other two Spider-Men are kind of like, well, that, you know, we got bitter. Let's not have you do that. Which
I love that. I love the way Tobey Maguire... Was it Tobey Maguire? No, it was Andrew Garfield who said that after Gwen's death. He got bitter. He got vengeful. He got all things that Spider-Man are not supposed to be. And he said, and and Tobey said the same thing.
And look at Jamie Foxx, like, he had to basically be persuaded and be like, we swear this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to come back for that role again, because they shit on him on that role.
He did. Amazing Spider-Man 2 shit on Jamie Foxx with his role, shit on Paul Giamatti with his Rhino role. It was terrible.
I love how they talk about it, though, in this movie.
I do, yeah. I love how they addressed all of it.
They do.
And they also shit all over Dane DeHaan, who tried doing a different version of the Goblin, but again, they just shit all over him. So all these great actors, three talented, good actors, they didn't. So yeah, why
wasted?
Wasted, absolutely wasted. But Jamie Foxx did much better. I mean,
I
really liked the way they. I think Andrew Garfield asked him, "Did she used to have a comb over or something?" And it's like, yeah, forget about that.
Right.
I was waiting for at the end he was gonna reveal it was a toupee or something.
But you really felt like his struggle, because he wanted to be cured, but he didn't. He liked the power that he felt.
Exactly.
So you did feel his struggle.
Which made sense, because his character was a nobody who never had any power, always got shit on, always kicked around. And so the fact that he had this ability, and now he knows he's died because of it, now he's given a second chance, yeah, he doesn't want to give it up.
Here's my thing, though. Of all the crazy shit we've seen in the MCU, and we've seen some weird, crazy shit.
It's quite the soap opera.
The thing that gets me is that even when they discuss Jamie Foxx's character in the MCU, and they talk about he fell into a pool of electric eels, it still sounds stupid as fuck.
It is stupid.
It sounds so stupid. We've seen so many other stupid origins and stuff in the MCU, but for some reason, this sounds the most stupid.
I love the way, I think it was Andrew and Toby were talking about it at one point, and he goes, "How did he become Electro?" And he's he found it in a tub of electric eels. And he's like, "Yeah, that'll happen."
That'll happen.
That sounds about right. It's like, no.
Well, yeah, and then the bad guys were like, well, I fell into a pool of electric eels, well, I fell into this, and he's like, you gotta watch out where you're falling.
Right. It's true, though, because the old movies, they did keep that campiness, and that's where I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 also lost its way. Was the first one, they definitely tried to go with a darker feel to it and a darker tone, and the second one, they kept the darker tone in some scenes, and others were just so campy and so dumb.
And that's what I mean when we were talking, and I after the movie, and I said that it feels like they're just, all of those characters kind of don't exactly fit the MCU, because it feels weird.
Yeah.
They're still in camp, whereas the MCU is like, okay, we understand that it's ridiculous, but we make it sound plausible.
They do. They really do a better job at that on all counts, really. Even when it comes down to Spider-Man, and I like the way they made fun of, in a way, that, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has organic webs.
They had so many questions for
it's the same questions we have.
Right.
Does it come out of any other orifice? We really want to know.
Tom Holland had that question. He's like, so,
Right. So, is this going to happen to me?
Because, him and Andrew were ganging up on Tobey, asking about his webs and stuff.
Because it's the only incarnation of Spider-Man that I know of where it's organic.
Right.
And I believe that was a Sam Raimi choice.
It might have been, yeah.
I don't know. But whatever.
It was hilarious.
It was great. I really hope that Tobey Maguire somehow makes an appearance in Multiverse of Madness so he can work with Sam Raimi again. I think that would be cool.
That would be cool. I still think they should do a TV show.
Yeah.
Give Andrew Garfield something, guys. He got shortchanged.
They need to. And all the shit he's taken over this past year of "Are you in it? Are you in it?" And he had to say no and get called a liar, which, but you had to. You're under contract.
Right.
And Tobey Maguire's just like, I'm not going to talk to anybody.
Right.
Fuck off.
I do love how Tobey Maguire's, Toby face is what saves the day in the end. Because, Tom Holland is, at the very, very end, Tom Holland's Peter is fighting Green Goblin and just beating the shit out of him because he killed May.
Yeah.
So, Tobey Maguire has to, swing in, and he stops him right before he's about to stab him with his hoverboard. Mm-hmm. And you see them square it off, and it's Tom Holland's and Tobey Maguire's just like...
Yeah, he has a little puppy dog face.
He stares at the Toby eyes, save the day. I'm that seems right. That seems reasonable.
That does seem right, yeah.
And then, of course, Green Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire in the back. And that's funny, too, because he's like, I've been stabbed before. And Andrew Garfield's like, oh, good.
That scared me, though, for a second. Because I thought, maybe they are going to kill him,
No,
the mentor always dies. But no, they didn't, which is smart not to. But
and then in the end, when they're saying goodbye to Peter, so they're all hugging or whatever, and Andrew's holding up Toby, and our Peter swings away or whatever, and Andrew's like, "So you're in a lot of pain, huh?" And Toby's like, "Yup."
Oh, and the best part was the back. They made fun of Tobey Maguire's bad back. It's a real thing. In case you guys don't know, and after the first movie, Tobey Maguire hurt his back on the set of Seabiscuit. And he hurt it so bad that he didn't know if he could do Spider-Man 2. And they were this close to casting Jake Gyllenhaal to replace him. And that's what they was going to... And then luckily enough, it healed up and it worked out and blah, blah, blah. But I thought that was hilarious that they were actually made fun of. And Andrew Garfield cracks his back.
Turn around and play.
That was freaking brilliant. Yep. Like, that's what I mean. This is fan service.
Yes.
But we're enjoying the hell out of it.
It wasn't like, haha, you like this, remember this, you like this. It was part of the story.
And, you know, even when you watched Into the Spider-Verse, that Spider-Man, they're going to compare stories while they have a second. You know, hey, you know, like, you're me in another universe. How'd it work out for you?
And... of course, we all knew it was going to happen from the trailer when we saw MJ fall, but Andrew Garfield's Peter gets he gets to save her.
Yeah,
he gets to save someone.
Yeah. He gets to, because they even mentioned that that's one of his biggest regrets, and Toby says his biggest regret, of course, was Uncle Ben dying, and also his friend. Yeah. But this was, and Andrew Garfield really acted well in this. You could tell he was really emotional about it. And as the fans...
Which just proves he was too good for those other movies.
Oh, yeah. He's a real good actor. And but who doesn't want to be Spider-Man? You know, why not? So, yeah, the fact that he swings in and gets a second chance and saves MJ, which we all wanted. We all saw
nobody wanted another Gwen Stacy here.
Oh, God. That's like Uncle Ben. We've seen it enough times now. We know...
Hey, at least this time they gave us an Aunt May death and not an Uncle Ben death.
But, like, it's funny, like, if you're Spider-Man's girlfriend, you're going to fall from a building at some point.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
Oh, my God. Yeah, because it happened to MJ in Spider-Man 3, I think. But, I mean, and here's the thing. With Amazing Spider-Man 2, I give them full kudos for doing the Gwen Stacy storyline. They just shouldn't have, they should have made it its own movie. And, you know, we all know the problem with that. There's just too much
They just wanted everything in at once. It's like they're going to throw everything in instead of what serves the story.
Yeah, let's just get greedy. Let's just do it all. That's like rebooting Star Wars. But, like, let's just do the first 3 movies in one film.
Right.
You know? Because someday... you know what's going to happen. They're going to reboot it.
I just want a movie about the teddy bear planet.
Well, I do too.
That's all I want.
They actually did do that. They did 2 of them. They were called Ewok Adventures.
Yeah, but I mean a good one.
Okay.
A good movie about the teddy bear planet.
Okay, fair. As long as Warwick Davis stars in it.
Right. He has to.
He looked great in his new Ewok suit in the end of the one part I liked about Rise of Skywalker. Warwick Davis.
All right, we got to stop nerding out on other stuff and nerd out on what we're supposed to be nerding out on. Focus.
All right, maybe that's the end of our review.
Yeah, because there's really nothing else to talk about. I mean, we don't want to go point by point with you. You're gonna see the movie. Everybody's gonna see this movie.
Go see it on the biggest screen you can find. The sound was super loud, but I'm just old,
our
I guess,
IMAX
now.
theater, at one point I went out to the bathroom and I could still hear our theater in the bathroom. So I was like, well, I'm not missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, right? You're peeing, just hearing it. Okay, got it. But yeah, it's a great movie, guys. Go see it. Mm-hmm. If you love the MCU, you're going to love it. If you love Spider-Man,
you're going to love it. If you love superhero movies, you're going to love it. Like, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. And to get all of our videos here, whether it's horror or pop culture.
And we do it all.
We're going to do it all. And,
we don't have a sign-off for this one because this isn't horror.
Yeah, and we're tired. So, but bye.
Go see Spider-Man.
Go see Spider-Man.